This is the basic code for reading a temperature sensor. We're going to use the serial monitor function to read the temperature sensor. So first we're going to create a constant integer for temp pin. It's going to be the analog input pin. We're then going to create the raw reading variable for temp val, and then the voltage variable as volts using float. And then we have the final temperatures of the variables in Celsius and Fahrenheit. Then we're going to start the serial port at 96 BA baud. And the baud rate, or the communication speed, is so when two devices are communicating to each other, they have to be set to the same speed. So that's all we're doing here. Then we're going to read the temp sensor and store it as temp val using the analog read function. And we're going to use serial print to print out temp val equals the temp val that we recorded above using the analog read. Then we're going to print a spacer. And we're going to then convert the reading to voltage by multiplying the reading by 3.3 volts, which is the voltage of the Arduino board. And then we're going to do a compound division by 1023. So then that's going to be the raw voltage over the serial port. So we're going to use serial print again to print that value. So volts equals what we solved for up here. And then print out the print out a divider. Then we're going to calculate temperature in Celsius from the voltage. So temp C is going to equal volts minus 0.5 all multiplied by 100. And then use the serial print function to print out degrees Celsius is the temp C, which is what we found here. Again, print a spacer. And then we're going to convert this Celsius to Fahrenheit. So temp F is going to equal temp C times 9/5 plus 32. And then again, we're going to print the Fahrenheit temperature over the serial port using the serial print. Degrees F equals temp F, which we found here. And then we're going to delay for a second to wait before we take another reading. And here's going to be the serial monitor working. So each reading as it comes in. That's it. This is the Arduino board for the basic code of reading temperature sensor. So here, the black wire here is connecting to the ground pin of the temperature sensor. The center pin of the temperature sensor is connected to this, it's the signal pin, so it's connected to this yellow wire into the analog 0 pin here. And then the bottom pin right here is the to supply voltage to the temperature sensor. So the red wire is connected to 3.3 volts. This is the modified code for reading a temperature sensor. We're going to still use the temperature sensor and the serial monitor window to read the temperature sensor. We're also going to light up LEDs depending on the Celsius or Fahrenheit degree value. So the first 3 LEDs on the board are equal to the tens place, and the other 9 are equal to the ones. So depending how many are lit up, it will count up to the degree that is recorded to give a visual on the board of what the temperature is. So again, we're going to have an analog input pin as a constant for temp pin equals 0. The raw reading variable is temp val. You're going to have your volts. And then the final temperature and variables of Celsius and Fahrenheit. Now we're also going to set all the LEDs pins as constants here. And then we're going to get to serial begin 9600. It's the baud rate, or the communication speed. So when two devices are communicating with each other, they still both have to be set to the same speed. We're also going to set all the LEDs as outputs here. Then we get to the void loop. We're going to read the temp sensor with analog read function and store it as a temp val. Then we're going to print out the 10 value from the analog read, this. And then we're going to print a spacer again. We're going to also still convert the voltage by multiplying it by 3.3 and dividing it by the 1023. And then we're also going to print out the raw voltage over the serial port. Again, printing out a divider. So now when we get to the Celsius and the Fahrenheit portion, we're going to find the temp C by minusing 0.5 in volts and multiplying it by 100. And then we're going to turn on the LEDs according to the temp C. So the LED pin 1, 2, and 3 are going to represent 10 degrees, 20 degrees, and 30 degrees, respectively. And then the rest of the LEDs will count up in the ones places. So, at the beginning, so if temp C is greater than or equal to 10, just pin 1 will turn on high. And then as we count up from 11 to 19 degrees, each one more of from the 4 to 12 LEDs will turn on. So LED pin 4 will turn on when it's greater than or equal to 12. 4 and 5 will turn on, as well as pin number 1. So that's 10 plus 2 is 12. And that continues all the way to 19. So all the extra ones pins are turned on, but still only pin number 1 is on high. So then when we get to greater than or equal to 20 degrees, pin 1 and 2 will turn on, so now it's 20. And then the same pattern will follow as above, turning on the ones places as we count up. And then when we get to 30 degrees, same thing, all 3 pins will be turned on high, and then we'll follow the same pattern as above. And we can turn off this, the LEDs for Celsius and turn on the LEDs for Fahrenheit by just deleting this /* at the beginning of and the end of this part of code and added them to this part of the code. So then we're going to serial print degrees Celsius and the temp C again on the serial monitor, and then print the space. And we're still going to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit by multiplying the temperature by 9/5 and then adding 32 degrees. So this is going to be the same code, except instead of starting at 10, we're going to start off at 60 degrees Fahrenheit and go up to 70 and 80 degrees here, just so it's going to be better represented on the board. And again, we're going to print the degrees Fahrenheit and the temp that is recorded, and still delaying by 1 second. The serial monitor will look the same, both here and here. So on the Arduino board, we'll see the 10s and 1s places, and give us an idea of what the temperature is. That's it. Here is the board for the modified code for reading a temperature sensor. So here still we have the temperature sensor here. The center pin is still the signal pin. Here we go. The yellow wire here is connecting it to analog 0. The top pin is the ground. It's connecting it to the ground over here. And then again, the bottom red cord here is the power supply, so it's connecting to the 3.3 volts over here. So then we get to the LEDs. All of them are grounded by their cathodes are plugged into this negative column on this side here and on this side over here. So all these LEDs are grounded by this wire connecting this side over here to the ground wire right here that is grounding to this pin over here. And then each of these LEDs has a 100 ohm resistor that is connecting their pin to the LED. So as we go down the line from top to bottom, each of these LEDs are connected from pin number 13, preload, pin number 13 down to number 2. And right now, the code is on Celsius, so it's reading, so these are going to be 10, 20, 30 degrees Celsius, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 degrees Celsius. So right now it's reading 26 degrees Celsius. So now it's 27, and we see if we try to heat it up a little bit, it will increase, hopefully. There we go. So yeah, and then we're going to see the Fahrenheit. Here's the board set up for Fahrenheit degrees. So now these LEDs are going to equal to 60 degrees, 7 degrees, and 80 degrees, and then these are still 1 through 9. So right now it's reading 76, almost 77 degrees. And if we can get it up to 80 degrees, then you can see. So now it's a 79, and we can go to 80. If we keep going a little higher, it'll get up to 81. Up to 81, 80 to 81. So yeah.